Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. In this video I'm going to be doing my second Christmas themed pick from my kit video, so I'm going to just hop on over to my makeup collection and go through all my products and pick out some things that I've not reached for in a while and create a makeup look with all of those products, which is this makeup look here. What else would it be? So off I now go to grab that makeup. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lips because I need to kind of base this look around the lip products I'm going to go with. Okay, so this is the lip product that I wanted to use. As you can see, it's proper green. So this is the NYX Cosmic Metals Lip Cream in the shade Out of This World. I also thought maybe I would layer this over the top of it. It's just like a sort of glimmery, champagne-y, creamy colour. So this is the MUA Luxe Velvet Matte Metallic Lip Lacquer. So I thought maybe if I sort of like did an ombre sort of thing with those two, so it would make something really shiny and metallic and nice. So we'll base the look around that. So I'm thinking I'm going to go quite neutral on the eyes because obviously this is a very bang lip. Okay, so we'll go back to the regular makeup order and go with primer. So I've been doing a lot of glowy primers, so I think maybe we should do something matte. So this is like a sort of pore blurring one. This is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer, which I think I bought last year at some point. It's just one of those sort of like velvety, really soft feeling primers that blurs out the pores. Does it blur out my pores? I don't know. We'll use this one. Okay, so I've just sorted out my foundation drawer. So basically I put in this box, because I don't know if you can see, but it's in two boxes. I've just put in this box all of the foundations that I've reviewed so far in my foundation series. I'm about to start part 4. And then in this box I put all the ones that I've yet to review. So for my pick for my kits, I'm going to gravitate more towards this side because these are things that I haven't used in a while and really need to revisit and are going to be reviewed soon as part of my foundation series. So we're going to pick something from this box. I'm thinking maybe W7 Face Fantasy because it's been a while, but there's loads in here that I would quite like to revisit. I've got Revolution Pro foundation drops, the foundation stick, got the NYX Control foundation, which I might go for because it's been a very long time since I used this and I remember really liking it. I'd quite like to maybe use the Matte Factor Radiant Lift at some point in a pick from my kit. It's a H&M one here that I haven't used in a while. I think I'm going to go for the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. It's in the shade Alabaster. From my memory, it's actually a really good colour match. So I bought this like probably about 2 years ago, I think. So it is quite old. It's been in my collection a while. Maybe like a bit separated. I don't know. We'll find that out today. Okay, concealer. I'm thinking about maybe using this one, which is the L'Oreal Infallible Mauve Concealer. Because even though I bought this year, I remember really not liking it, but I'm going to be doing like my favourites and my rejects soon. And I kind of want to retry this just so I know whether or not I'm going to include it as a reject. Because I remember it just being way too dry for me, but I want to find out if maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh in it. So I think I might use this one, but obviously this is lighter than my skin tone. I think it's the lightest shade Porcelain. I can't find it written on here. So that would be for like under eyes. Might try this one. This is the Revolution Pro Fell Cover Camouflage Concealer in C1. It's really similar to like this newer one they brought out. I don't know if like maybe they've discontinued this and like replaced it with that, but I know they're really similar. But well, I want to try this today and then I can actually kind of figure out if they are basically the same thing. Yeah, I'm going to use this one for the outer parts of my face. Okay, so in the loose powder drawer, I was looking at this the other day. This is the e.l.f. HD powder. It's like a white translucent one, and I must have bought this ages ago and I've just like never used it, and I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, I've been way more into loose powders recently because I used to be very like against them. I have no idea why, but now I'm like totally into loose powders. So I want to give this a go and get to the bottom of, is it good? Is it bad? It's just the e.l.f. HD powder. Okay, I'm going to have to maneuver around all my Christmas presents that are blocking this drawer. Okay, we're in, so I need some bronzer, some blush, maybe some contour. I'd quite like to retry this Essence one. This is the Essence Matte Bronzing Powder Lighter Skin. I'm pretty sure they still do it, but I think the packaging is probably different now because this one is quite a bit old. Either 2 or 3 years I've had it in my collection. 01 Natural is the shade. Not used it recently. I think it smells like coconuts. Do you want a blush? Ooh, I'd quite like to use this one. It's been a while since I used this. This is the Soap and Glory Love at First blush. Yeah, that looks pretty, just like a mix of shades. Okay, now highlight. There's quite a lot of highlights in here that I want to revisit, but this one, the Revolution Rainbow highlighter. Look at the packaging, it's so gorgeous. I used to love this. It is definitely a really good quality highlighter, and I think it might look really cool with a festive look. So let's go for the Revolution Rainbow highlighter. Okay, so eyebrows now. I think I want to go for a gel and a pencil combination. I think I'm going to use this Barry M Take a Brow gel. So I recently used the Barry M Brow Wand, which I think is this here. And I didn't like the gel side of it. I just found it was way too like thick and harsh looking. But I do remember quite liking this one actually. I think the colour might have been a little bit too warm, but I think it did work a lot better than that gel. So I'd quite like to retry this one, but I do want a pencil with it. I might go for the old school NYX micro brow pencil because I haven't actually used this. I thought I had used it, but recently I've wrote down like all of the makeup that I've used in previous pick from my kits, and I don't believe this was in it. I'm going to use the NYX micro brow pencil, which I remember, I think this was probably one of the first micro brow pencils I ever used. I remember really liking it. I bought it like the first time when I literally first started getting into makeup. Like around the time that NYX actually like first launched in the UK, and I used it all up pretty fast. So this is either the second or the third time I've bought it, but it is a really good product, so I'm going to use that as well. Right, mascara. I wonder if this one I got off of Amazon has still got anything going in it. Look at the little kitten. Oh my god. I think this is, I actually remember this being like not bad. Manchu Max Volume Mascara, black. It does look quite dry, but there is a little bit of moisture in it, so if I'm going to use this, I'll probably need something else to layer with it. I remember this was in a cohort beauty box and I didn't like it a lot. It just didn't do anything for my lashes. It's New Kid Cosmetics. Let me see if there's anything in it. Okay, it's quite dry, but it does have a bit of moisture in it, so I think I'll go for that one as well. So there's still two liquid liners that I have yet to use, and that's the Ico one and the Ciate Chisel one. I'm just going to pick one just in case, but I might decide I don't want to, but I'm going to go with the Ico one. It's the Ico Eye Liquid eyeliner. Do you want to focus on that? So I want a black liner for the waterline. Might use this Revolution one because I was just thinking that I kind of wanted a brown liner as well, and this has a black brown, then it's also got nudes in it as well, so that's a good 2-in-1 to use. I can't remember like how good quality the liners are. I think they're pretty decent considering it is a bit of a like sort of packaging focused product, if you get what I mean, but we'll find out today. So for eyeshadow I want something quite nude and basic, and what came to mind was either Too Faced Natural Eyes or this palette from Purr, because these are both very like kind of nude natural palettes. So this is the Purr one, very simple basic colour scheme. They still make this, but it's in completely different packaging now. I don't know if the form is any different, but this was like again one of the first sort of makeup fancy things that I got. I think it was a Christmas present when I was like 18, so like 4 years ago. I want to use this because it's been so long. It's just like so simple but so pretty. Okay, so in conclusion, we've got the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer, NYX Total Control Drop Foundation, L'Oreal Infallible More Than Concealer, Revolution Pro Full Cover Camouflage Concealer, e.l.f. Loose HD Powder, the Essence Matte Bronzing Powder, Soap and Glory Love at First Blush, Revolution Rainbow Highlighter, Barry M Take a Brow Gel, NYX Micro Brow Pencil, Too Faced Natural Eyes Eyeshadow Palette, I Heart Revolution Multi Eyeliner Thingamabob, Ico Liquid Eyeliner, New Kid Cosmetics Mascara, and then this mascara off of Amazon. Then we've got the NYX Cosmic Metals in Out of This World, and then this is the MUA Luxe Metallic Lip Lacquer. It's either an Orion or Apollo, the shade. I can't see it on the bottle, but I will try and find out what the actual shade is. So that's everything. Let's make a look. So I want to just test this out on my eyes and under my eyes again. And obviously I'm going to use it over the top of foundation, but I just really want to see what it's like, and obviously I'm going to use it to prime my eyes anyway for eyeshadow. I just remember finding this way too dry on the skin, and the thing is, right, I know a lot of people said the e.l.f. Camo Concealer is really dry, but but I only found it slightly dry. I didn't feel like it really looked super dry. Maybe I am being a bit too harsh. So I'm gonna just test it out. So we'll go eyelids first. The shade is really good. I will say that is a perfect brightening shade for my skin tone. And I also just thought that the e.l.f. one had better coverage as well. Like, I think this one just had pretty good coverage, but the e.l.f. one was like full-blown coverage. I was actually blown away by how good coverage the e.l.f. one is. Like, it's full coverage. Now I'm knocking everything over. Okay, it doesn't look terrible actually. It is pretty good coverage. You've got to admit that is really good coverage. I still think the e.l.f. one is a little bit better. It's because if I'm looking really close, I can still see my bag a little bit. I can still see a little bit of veins, but like only slightly. It's still like a low full coverage, I'd say. Like, it's pretty good coverage for the drugstore. Actually, it's not as bad as I remembered it being just from putting it on my skin there. It doesn't look great, but it looks a lot better than I remember. I'm going to put it on my other eyelid anyway because I want it as a base for eyeshadow. I wouldn't say it's really actually settling that badly. Like, obviously it's sitting in my lines, but literally all concealers do, especially the more like coverage they have. So honestly, I think maybe I was just being way too harsh in this concealer. I still don't love it. I much prefer my e.l.f. one just because it's got a bit more coverage and I find it slightly more hydrating. But now I'm going to use that e.l.f. Powder to set the concealer on my eyelids down. I did buy these little mini sponges from Real Techniques because I thought they'd be good for under eye setting, eyelid setting. I've got a feeling that this is going to be one of those powders that, first of all, it sort of kind of disappears into the sponge. So it's quite like a thin sort of formula. And I've got a feeling it'll probably be the type that will make my highlight and my bronzer not show up as well. Sometimes I find these types of powders can also oxidize my base products, but we'll see if this one does that. It's just completely like absorbing into the sponge, and these sponges aren't even wet. Like, I've not put anything on them. I literally just like got them delivered yesterday. Yeah, I can also sort of tell that it's kind of darkened the product. I don't know if you can kind of see side by side, but it has. I mean, obviously the colour's fine, but it does oxidize the product a bit. Okay, we've got a base for eyeshadow, so as I normally do, I'm going to do one eye off camera, so I'll be back for that. Okay, so we've just done a very simple eye look, but I'm actually really liking it, and I feel like I need to do this sort of eyeshadow look more often. So I decided not to use the liquid liner in the end because I just wanted to put a bit of like brown from that I Heart Revolution thingamabob on my lash line instead. And I'm liking it, so very simple, but effective. I'm starting with the shade Nudie, which is this one here, which is just a light neutral brown, matte obviously, and that's going above the crease. I actually plucked my eyebrows. It's been like 3 years. I finally decided to do it. And I'm going in with a slightly darker matte brown called Cashmere Bunny, which is this one here. I think the shades also may have different names now, and that's just going underneath that. We're going in with Sexpresso, which is a darker matte brown, and I'm adding that to the outer third. What exactly is a Sexpresso? I don't know. Just don't really think you should be putting your genitals near coffee, to be honest. And then I'm using Heaven, which is a sort of vanilla-y, creamy matte shade. And that's going under the brow bone. I hit pan on that. I was obviously a fan of it. It's so weird now because I can kind of highlight my brow bone properly because I've actually plucked the hairs off it. So it's not just drawing attention to all my stray hairs. So then I'm using my L'Oreal concealer, and I'm going to do a cut crease about 2/3 of the way out. Okay, right, so I'm using Heaven again, and that's going over the majority of where I've cut that crease. I'm using Silk Teddy, which is sort of rosy, champagne-y, shimmery colour, and that's going sort of in between the outer third and the inner third. And then I'm using the brown on this I Heart Revolution eyeliner pen. That's just what I'm going to call it. And I'm putting that like on the lash line area. Now I'm switching to the black, and that's going in my top and bottom waterlines. I think it's like a bit of a gimmicky product. I actually think it performs really well, like the pigments pretty good. Next I'm using the Manchili Max Volume Mascara. It's off of Amazon, it's super cheap. I will put a link to it down below if hopefully it's still available. And I think, as you can see, like it's super like thickening and it's got pretty good volume. However, it's not very lengthening, so if you're all about that length, then this won't be the mascara for you. But if you really like thickness, then this is a very thickening mascara, which I like. I did add the New Kid on top of it, however, it didn't really add an awful lot, to be honest. This guy is the one that's doing the work. I did add a bit of this New Kid Cosmetics High Intense Volumizing Mascara is what it's called. Did it add anything? Not really. Okay, so we're moving on to base now. We're starting with the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. I'm just going to focus this in my pore areas. It's definitely got tea tree in it because I can smell the tea tree immediately. Which I like, obviously, because I know tea tree's like got good skincare. It's like a good skincare thing, isn't it? Like I think it's meant to be good for like acne or something. I mean, it feels super soft. It literally feels like putting velvet on your face. It's probably got good skincare properties in it because obviously there's tea tree in it. Oh my god, my hands just feel like so nice now. I'm not really noticing any miracles in terms of pore reduction, but I feel like my skin looks a tiny bit smoother. But then I've tried a lot of pore blurring primers and I've never really felt like it's worked any miracles on my pores, so I'm not surprised about that. Okay, so let's move on to foundation. The NYX Total Control in Alabaster. I'm fairly certain this is a really good shade match. I think it's like the second lightest. I think they've got a pale shade because I know I've got pale in the Born to Glow and the Can't Stop Won't Stop, which are a bit light for me, so this one is probably more accurate. As I've said, I've had this a long time, so it may not be in peak prime performance, but okay. Yeah, the undertones I would say are quite neutral, so I would prefer them to be a little bit warmer. That just completely missed my face and went on my lovely skirt. I don't really like droppers. I've never been a fan of droppers. It's just for the exact reason I just demonstrated. This might take me a while, but let's put it on. It's definitely more of a dewy foundation. In fact, I'd say this is even more dewy than the Born to Glow foundation in my opinion. I think that primer made it glide on like super smoothly. It's nice, it's got pretty good coverage. It's maybe a little bit more dewy than I personally like. I do prefer a more semi-matte or matte finish when it comes to foundations, just because I feel like a lot of dew does just draw attention to my texture, which I feel like it kind of does a bit. Overall it looks pretty smooth. It's got decent coverage. It's definitely like pale enough, but the undertones are a little bit different to my neck. It's a little bit more neutral, whereas I prefer something a little bit more olivey, a little bit more yellowy. This foundation is so dewy actually. I think I'm maybe sort of welcoming to a matte finished concealer. So we're going in with L'Oreal Infallible and Porcelain, and I'm just going to use this under my eyes to brighten. Yeah, it's such a good shade to brighten with. Like, as you can see, it's like lighter than the foundation. Okay, yeah, there. I think that looks fine. I think maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on this concealer. I mean, it's definitely brightened, it's definitely added coverage, and it doesn't look super dry now. Now I'm going to try the Revolution Pro Full Cover Camouflage Concealer. This is in C1. So, have they discontinued this and just replaced it with their other one that they brought out recently, or are they still keeping this? Because they're like incredibly similar, like the name and the concept is just like basically the same thing. So this is in C1, and okay, water just came out of it. Not great. Yeah, there's like a bit of like sort of separation, and you know, like where it goes a bit watery. Yeah, once you get past that initial bit, it goes back to normal. Again, this has got a very sort of like neutral, maybe bordering a bit of a pink undertone, which is not ideal for me, but it is pale. Like, it's definitely like pale. It is a very oily formula. I do feel like it's added coverage to my face, which is nice. It's fine. It's adequate. Okay, so my skin is looking super duper oily. So we're going to use that e.l.f. HD powder to set our face. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but like a patch of orange has just sort of come out of nowhere. So it's one of those types of powders. Ones that I don't really like. I just don't really want a powder to oxidize my makeup. The powder. Well, first of all, it definitely oxidizes your makeup, so be wary of that. So it was the wrong colour even before I set my face, so I'm not too like upset about the oxidizing, but I mean, I don't know, it looks a bit heavy. I felt like I had to use a lot of it to get my face to mattify, but it does feel matte now. I'm not digging it. It's not the worst powder. It's fine, but I'm not digging it. So I've got the Essence Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder 01 Natural. As I said, I think they do still make it. I just think it's got different packaging now, or maybe a different name possibly. It smells very strongly of coconuts. It's quite pleasant. I prefer like the chocolatey scent that like the Too Faced one has, as well as some of the Kiko bronzers have it. But I mean, it's just nice that it has a scent full stop, so you know. Okay, it's definitely picked up a lot of product. Let's tap that off. I don't like it when my bronzers are too harsh. So let's tap that on. It's a little bit orangey on the face, not gonna lie. Quite pigmented. Oh, and I think I've just broke the lid. Okay, I hope that blends out, because that is a bit too harsh, a bit too orangey. I can tell you the fact now, but that is definitely not my favourite bronzer. It's blending out pretty well though, actually, so that's fine. Okay, so whilst the shade isn't for me, that has blended out like super seamlessly, so that's nice. I like that aspect of it. Like, it's blended out perfectly fine. It doesn't look muddy, doesn't look patchy or anything like that. It's just the shade is a little bit too orangey for my liking. I do like to highlight before I blush, so let's use the Revolution Rainbow Highlighter. From what I remember, it sort of comes out like a very silvery sort of colour. So let's go for it. Oh, okay. The powder definitely hasn't taken away from the highlight there. Didn't really take away from the bronzer either, so maybe it doesn't actually have that problem. Super pretty and pigmented. I feel like it kind of contrasts a bit weirdly with my skin tone though, because my makeup's kind of oxidized. So I'm just going to kind of tap it into the skin a bit. Okay, so we're going to move on to eyebrows now. So I'm going to start with the Barry M Brow Gel. Yeah, it's quite like a sort of chocolatey brown colour, which I can get away with, but I do prefer something a little bit more cooler and a bit more ashy. There is quite a lot of excess that I'm having to wipe off here, I am noticing, but the brushes are pretty good size. So let's paint these brows on. only real issue with that is the fact that you have to wipe off lots of excess. Otherwise, I think it's actually really good brow gel. It's actually performed really well in the brows. It's not come out too harsh. Just define them exactly how I want. So, good product. My one criticism is it's just a little bit too much excess on product. But I do want a bit more definition, so I'm going to go in the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is in Espresso, that's the shade. So I'm just going to define my brows a bit more with this. Actually happy with how those brows turned out. Happens occasionally. I feel like ever since I plucked them, I'm actually just liking how my brows look a lot more. So I need to start plucking them regularly. My fear was that I would lose like the thickness and the bushiness, but as you can see, my brows are still quite thick. So put a bit of the Revolution highlighter in my inner corner, and I might put a bit under my brow bone as well. I need to go for the yellowy part actually, because I can actually choose the specific colour I want to use now that I'm using a smaller brush. So I'm gonna go back to Nudie, and I'm just gonna throw that under the lash line. Then I'm gonna get Sexpresso, and I'm gonna smudge that closer to the lash line. I'm gonna use Cashmere Bunny. It's gonna blend them into each other. Then I think I'm gonna go back to the brown eyeliner and put a bit of that under my lash line as well. Okay, and I'm gonna put some mascara on my bottom lashes. Right, now this is the part where it goes from a lovely, nice, simple glam look to complete madness. Because of course we're putting on a green and metallic lip. 'Tis the season, but you know, do I really want to put it on? Not exactly, but it's Christmas, so. Just realising I forgot to put the blush on, the Soap and Glory one. So let's do that now. Super natural, super subtle, but it's actually a really pretty blush. Okay, so let's go in with the NYX Cosmic Metals. I mean, that is quite something, isn't it? I actually kind of like it now that it's on though. It's very pigmented and like opaque, which is good. From my memory, it doesn't dry down matte though. However, this MUA one does dry down matte, so I don't know if I want to put this all over my lips, or I've clearly laid this over something pink because there's some pink stains in there. Alright, so I'm just going to sort my hair out and then I'll be back. Okay, so we are back with the finished festive themed look. My favourite products, I think, the eyebrow products I thought worked really well, the Barium Gel and the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I actually really like how the brows turned out. I actually really like the eyeshadow. I think like the Too Faced Naturalized palette is amazing. It's the sort of thing where it's been in my collection for so long that I should probably get rid of it, but I just don't want to get rid of it because it's the perfect eyeshadow palette for like a natural, simple eyeshadow look, which I feel like everyone needs that, you know? I thought this I Heart Revolution liner was pretty good as well. I thought the black one was pretty pigmented in the waterline, and the brown one worked really well just on the lash line and under it. So I think this is actually really good. I think the NYX foundation's a little bit too oily for me. I prefer something satin, semi-matte, or just full stop matte. But I liked everything else about it. Like, it looked fine on the skin. It was just a bit too oily for me. Drew a bit too much attention to my texture. I don't think I would really wear this lip colour again, ever. It's cool, but when am I going to want to wear this? I mean, I think the thing is, if I want like a really garish colour, I don't want it to have a glossy finish either. Like, I want it to be matte. So like, I know that this isn't going to just go all over my teeth and just all over anything that comes into contact with my lips. so I'd prefer it to be like matte. Even when I put that MUA thing over it, which is a liquid lipstick, it still feels moist, like it couldn't save it. So anyway, that is the end of Christmas makeup looks. I just want to go back to not green lips, to be honest. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.